Recently, we did a little podcast tour of my garden here along with Debbie Flower. So it's only fair that we visit Debbie Flower's house and take a look at her garden. And I'll tell you, it is amazing. It is, I would call it pretty much a California native garden, but there's a lot of plants here. And like any true gardener, it's a case of, well, let's plant this here and see if it works, because there's a lot of plants here that are probably more successful than you want. But then again, that's the whole point of it. And you even have a lawn, but it's a special lawn.
It is. It's my husband's lawn. He'll tell you that. It's his lawn. I didn't want a lawn, but he did, just to look at. The compromise was that it's native species of grass, which we put in as seed. And they're mostly fescues, which are the fescues that grow in the sun, and this patch is primarily in the sun, are bunch grasses. So it's a lumpy lawn.
And you don't need to mow it that much.
No, he has string trimmed it or weed whacked it twice this spring when it goes into flower, because I'm allergic to grass, especially, grass pollen, and it doesn't look as nice then. It's not pure. Bermuda grass has moved in. Oak trees have grown from the nearby, acorns falling from the nearby tree, but it satisfies him, and that's okay with me.
Happy husband, happy life. I forget.
Something like that, yeah.
But it's not that big. It's maybe 150 square feet.
Right. It's not big at all.
Yeah. So it's just a nice little patch of green, but surrounded by annuals, perennials, shrubs, trees. And looking down your driveway that leads to the street, is that a fried eggplant I see?
Yeah, it's a Romney. It's actually past its peak bloom. It's a perennial, and it's a native to California. And the flowers are large, probably 5 inches across, with a white with petals with a yellow center. Thus the common name fried eggplant.
It is a gorgeous little shrub, and it gets, maybe 8 to 10 feet tall, if that.
Yeah, that's it. That's what you're seeing. So the fence is, 5 feet, and then, probably 8 feet.
It's an interesting combination of plants here, plus some evergreen shrubs throughout this area, which would be great bird sanctuary.
I do have lots of birds. When we moved in, I'm on what's called a flag lot, meaning the driveway is the flag pole, and then the lot with the house on it is the flag itself. And there wasn't much at all on the flagpole. The Hollywood junipers at the end were there, and then the navel orange, oak, bay, arborvitae, and the banana shrub were all here. And so this we've just maintained, but the banana shrub and the bay and the arborvitae are evergreen. And on the other side, the neighbors have photinia and privet, which are also evergreen, but they've let grow tall. So it's a nice, dense place. And you see jays in particular coming in and out of here. And hummingbirds, I believe, have a nest in here as well.
That show for the nose, the banana shrub, is one of my favorites. I'm not sure how many USDA zones you can grow it in. It recently changed its genus from Michaelia. It was Michaelia figo, and now it's a Magnolia figo.
Right.
And it is a shrub. It doesn't look like any magnolia you've ever seen. It's got a smaller leaf, and the flowers, I won't say they're insignificant, but you just love their aroma in April.
Yeah, you have to get close to the shrub to get it. So when I moved in, the driveway, which is concrete, went all the way up to the front porch, and that plant was suffering. It was yellow. It didn't have much root zone, and it was getting reflected light into it, and that's not ideal for that plant. I was noticing this is probably the first year that it's looked really good. I suspect that's because we've had 2 years of good water. 2 years of good water, and you've got some, shall we say, overstory growth, too, going around it. It's giving it a bit more shade. Yes, some afternoon shade. And it's, for a banana shrub, it's pretty tall. It's like 20 feet tall. Right. Yeah. Congratulations. Thank you. On that. I didn't have much to do with it. Well, removed the driveway, changed the driveway, so it's no longer reflecting onto the plant. Other than that, I haven't done much. Of course, there are all sorts of California native plants here, as you've probably gleaned if you've been listening to us. But you have one here that is very common. You have several species of it, of milkweed. Butterfly weed. Butterfly weed. You're right. I have the narrow leaf butterfly weed here in front of the porch. That one I have seen monarchs on. It is not as showy as the speciosa, which is around the oak tree, but it seems to be a better host here locally for monarch butterflies. And they are in bloom right now, so that's nice. They smell. You get up close. You have to get up close to the flower. They have a nice, sweet smell.
You also have some plants that you probably would never see in a nursery, like a Tower of Jewels plant.
Right. I started those from seed, and the first ones were actually about 8 feet tall. But then it reseeds itself wherever it chooses or wherever I drag the dead plant, because there's still seeds in the dead plant. And it is a very big favorite of the hummingbirds. It's a Mediterranean native, but when it first grew, it was visible from the street all the way up my driveway, and people would stop at the end of my driveway and point. You're right. It isn't something you see at a nursery because it is a biennial, or sometimes it takes a third year to come into flower, and you don't know what you're getting. You wouldn't know what you're getting if you bought the 1-year-old plant.
It seems to enjoy full sun as well. It seems to have more of a vibrant bloom in full sun.
Yes, a redder bloom. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's an interesting display you have here. You've got 2 Tower of Jewels, and in the middle of it would be the Tower of Jewels in year 1, while the 2 towers are year 2.
Yes, well, that wasn't done on purpose. It just happened. There had been some right up against the oak tree, and they were a couple of years ago, and they seeded, and this group of 3 came in.
And, yeah, like you say, once you plant them, you'll have them forever. Do you have to stake them?
The one on the right I staked. When we had a lot of wind and rain earlier in spring, I did have to, that one fell over onto the lawn, and I pulled it up and staked it. That's the only time. Generally, no. But in those situations where many things tend to fall over, I did.
And then it dies.
Yes, right. It dies, and I have dead carcasses around, and that's how I'm not a designer, but I say, oh, it might look nice over there. I was thinking of pulling one of them back to where the 2 Mahonias are, and put it in front of them or between them, and have some Tower of Jewels in that area.
Is that the Mahonia aquifolium, the Oregon grape?
No, they are special Mahonias that I got from a friend, Ozzie Johnson. It's trademarked. It's the bigger ones. It's bigger because it gets afternoon shade there. And the other one is Arthur Menzies. And they were from a friend, and he got them from Dan Hinckley, if you know that name.
Yes, Dan Hinckley is the plant wanderer, the plant explorer who travels the world looking for unusual plants.
Right. And Michael lived here. He was a student of mine, and he became a friend, and he lived here, and then he moved to Idaho. And when he moved to Idaho, he gave away a lot of his plants, and he has since had a brain tumor and died. Nice to have a memory.
Exactly, yeah. It's really nice that these Tower of Jewels are framed with that scarlet oak behind it. That really sets it off.
Yes, not planned at all.
Well, there's luck and design.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go together. What is that next to it with the pink flowers?
That is a geranium.
A true geranium?
I don't think so. No, it's a pelargonium. I don't have it in here.
We should point out Debbie is working from her Excel sheet, which is 4 pages of plants in very small print.
Right. Got to try to save paper here. Yes, I think it is a true geranium, I think.
Oh, okay.
It was found at the old governor's mansion in downtown Sacramento. And I had students working there kind of on an internship, identifying plants, labeling plants, writing out descriptions of the plants, so that at the time it was under the old governor's mansion was under the purview of the California State Parks Association. And it was so that those people could convey the information about the park. And the geranium was found, and it was not identified. And so the Geranium Society came in with their experts, and they couldn't identify it. So the woman who worked in the parks department, her last name was Hansen, I believe, got to name it. And I can't remember what it was named. And she let me take cuttings. And so I did, and it is the most floriferous plant. In teaching, we take cuttings. The students would for their herbariums, and I would take them for the quiz. And I got it at Land Park, and which is a park here in Sacramento that our friend Daisy Ma took care of for decades, and started it, and it has grown where it wants to grow. That's a true geranium.
And that's in the shade. It's under the scarlet oak tree, whereas this unknown pelargonium geranium,
yeah, I think it's a pelargonium,
is in more sun.
Right. Yet it's still, part of it is under the oak, and it is blooming up a storm. I had a party here, people from out of state. I don't think anyone at that party was from California, and this was a big hit. Everybody wanted pieces of it. Not a good time to take cuttings when it's in flower.
No, but what are you going to do?
I gave them cuttings anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So behind us now, we should talk about this Palo Verde tree, which has a very unusual trunk color. It is like U.S. Army green, I guess, or something like that.
Verde means green, and I think Palo means wood. You have to check me on that. It is native to the Southwest. My husband is from Tucson, Arizona, and loves the plants of the Southwest. And so this one is the Desert Museum cultivar, which means it is thornless. So that's very nice. It's in bloom right now, and I subscribe to some feeds from gardeners and nurseries in the Tucson area, and they're advocating, sort of unofficially, for Palo Verde time. You know how there's cherry blossoms in Washington? It should be Palo Verdes in Tucson or something, because the whole thing is yellow, and if you look at the ground is all covered in yellow petals, and it is a fantastic pollinator or pollen provider.
There's only about 1 zillion bees in here.
Yes, and it hums away. I got it as a young tree. I have seen one Palo Verde Desert Museum as a single leader tree, and I was trying to keep it that way, and it just would not. It kept throwing suckers from the base, and I finally gave up and let it do that. And it leans because the morning sun is blocked by the bay tree and the oak to the east. I need to do some pruning to raise the canopy and to just shape it a little bit, but I'm not going to do that until it's done blooming, because I want the pollinators to get as much pollen as they can out of it.
Why do gardeners have the habit of finding flaws instead of beauty when showing their garden?
That was a problem I had when I worked at a retail nursery.
That would be a problem.
Yeah. You want this? Well, it's going to do this, that, and the other thing.
All right. But being that this tree does fine in Arizona, it probably does not require that much water. In fact, most of the plants here, as I look through here, are low water use plants.
Yes.
But I do see some drip lines through here.
Yes. I need to move mulch over here. It's a far distance from the mulch pile over here. This is the driest bed of all in my yard. They're zoned, and so I put in plants that I think will tolerate that dry or low watering, and the Palo Verde is certainly one of them, yes.
Yeah, and it's and there's color. Now you think, well, okay, for a low water use garden, it probably has a very short season of color, but the salvias over there are going to give you months of color.
Yes, they're going into flower, and it's purple sage, so it's a purple flower. The euphorbias had lime green. Unfortunately, my husband loves this euphorbia, Cheriacus wolfenii. It seeds around like crazy, so I only let it bloom for a short period, and I cut the flowers out. They were yellow in spring. You gave me these calendulas, which they're waning right now, but they have provided color for a long time. This is an Eriogonum sulphuratum, I think is this specific epithet, but yellow, what's the common? That's where I fall down. I don't know the common names. Buckwheat, yes. Sulfur buckwheat. And the flowers were yellow. Now they're turning sort of a rusty color. I had 2 of them. The other one didn't do real well. A white native iris, Pacific Coast iris. That's a white one. And behind it in lavender is verbena. It's a native verbena. Verbena lilacina de la Mina. Got that?
Got it. All right. Musical.
Right. It's its second year. It's been tough to get established, but I'm happy to see it blooming quite well this year. And then the Hesperallos are not native, but they have these long, it's just beginning to bloom with the pink stalks. These and they will get very long. There are more improved Hesperallos where the flowering stalk isn't so big. This looks manageable, but they get up into the Palo Verdes and probably 8 feet long. Bend over, it kind of becomes a problem. And then this is a Russian sage, a cultivar, and that had a blue bloom. I need to get in there. I like to keep it lower, but the way I keep it lower is to get in there and thin. I take cuts very near the soil, And so I find the tallest guy and move all the way down and cut it out. Pull it out. It's a messy job.
Yeah, I would think you'd be scratched at the end of it.
Yeah. Well, I wear gloves, an apron, and those arm protective things.
Okay.
And do it during a cool time of day. And, you just do a little bit and then come back the next day or a few days later and do some more. I don't like to shear it because then you end up with a whole dead inside and just a shell of leaves and flowers on the outside.
So unlike Martha Stewart, you don't have an army of landscapers.
No, I'm the gardener. It's me.
Okay. Yes.
I don't have a landscaper at all.
Tell me about your soil, because one trait of California natives or drought-tolerant plants is they need quick-draining soil. And this area is more known for clay than it is quick-draining soil.
Right. Well, this area was the driveway. And what do you put under concrete?
Lime?
A layer of stone, which we didn't take out. So it's a very shallow soil here, and it doesn't get a lot of water. The other is, we lived here 10 years before we found out we're on septic. And I don't know where the leach field is.
Yeah, that's an issue.
So I don't really know what this is, but it's shallow soil. I have come across some rocks. And I think this lot is built on fill. I'm not positive about that, but when I dig down, I see layers in some parts of the yard and not in other parts of the yard.
Did the house originally have a well?
Originally, this property belonged to the house behind. And that's a big 2-story, unlike the rest of the houses here. I am not aware that it had a well. We are on city water, which runs up the flagpole.
Being a country boy from Harold, I could tell you that the leach field was always opposite the well.
Right. My husband thinks he knows that the leach field is this direction, meaning east of the house and possibly under this bed.
All right. Well, as Irma Bombach would have said, the grass is greener under the septic tank.
Right.
So I would imagine a lot of these plants have a history about where they came from. What is the oldest plant that you have here? Do you have anything that you grew up with in New Jersey?
The Lychnis I grew up with, but I didn't bring it here. I planted it, though, because my mother would get it every year and plant it in front of the house, and I thought it was pretty, and it reminds me of her. I don't think I brought any plants from when I was a kid. This sago palm was given to me when I was a graduate student at UC Davis I graduated, so 91 and 92.
That seems like just yesterday.
I know, to some people. But some people, it's before they were born. And it was another graduate student in horticulture wanted to see if you could grow a baby from the pups. Mm-hmm. And this was one of the babies from the pups. And I had it in a container for a long time, and it struggled. I put it in the ground here, and it's been very happy, although it does get sort of burned. You can see some burn because I'm chintzy with the water. This is the second driest bed here. And actually, this half of the bed, you can see the supply line popping up over there. This half of the bed is as dry as the other bed we were looking at with the Palo Verde in it. So it doesn't get as much water as it would really like, but it always recovers. So I'm letting it go.
So that green lid over there is not the lid to your septic tank?
Yes. After we found out we were on septic, we had somebody come in and find it and raise the lids so we knew where they were.
Right. That's always a good idea. The sago, by the way, for getting bright morning sun, is looking fabulous. I imagine it's getting shade, though, in the afternoon.
It gets, yes, more so now that the Crataegus, the Washington hawthorn, has gotten larger, and this mesquite next to it doesn't really shade it too much, but it does get some shade in the afternoon. But you see there's burn on the side that gets the afternoon sun.
Okay, now say something nice about it.
It's a really nice anchor point in the garden. It's a very interesting plant. It's geologically old. Mm-hmm. It was lived here when the dinosaurs lived here, not here specifically, and it's done really well. It's very satisfying for me.
It's a conifer, isn't it?
Yeah. I assume I have a male. They're dioecious, male and female. I have never had any seed. Once they start producing seed, they go nuts. Yeah. And they don't have to be very old to produce seed. When I was teaching, we would get seed from a gentleman who lived in Lincoln City, and apparently there was a female plant around their pool, and it would seed every year, and he'd bring us seed, and we'd start them from seed.
It's a beautiful garden, and because he didn't give me 2 reasons why this is a good plant. It's right next to your front door, so it's a good focal point for your front door.
Yes, that's true. And I read somewhere, I'm not a designer, and I've decided you have to have a certain gene to be a good designer. But I tried reading the books about it and such, and they said that you should have a focal point, maybe the tallest tree in the landscape, but something, yes, to draw people to your front door. And this does that.
You also have in your yard something you've talked about on the podcast, too, and that is a fountain with a slow drip of water going into this bowl that it might be a few inches deep.
Right, that's the bird bath.
Yeah.
It's right outside the kitchen window. I should have shown you that. The little bit of design I do is from inside. I stand at the window and look out and say, what would I like here? And I'm actually planning to get another bird bath to put outside these windows. This is where I sit inside here and read. And I have my son and his wife gave me a sprayer. So we have a lot of hummingbirds in the yard, and I want to put a bird bath here with a sprayer on it and attract the hummers.
That is the slowest drip I've ever seen. It's like 1 drop every 10 seconds.
The adjustments are hard to make. It's just a little valve, rubber or plastic, attached to the hose bib, which is under that metal rod right there. And it's either off, slow, or so fast it's dripping over the side. But it's enough that the birds see it, and the drip rate changes with temperature.
How deep is that particular bowl?
I never measured. I'd guess 2 inches.
Okay. But the birds still use it as a bath? The bigger birds, I would.
The jays use it as a bath. The finches and the titmice and those littler birds, wrens, stand on the dripper and drink out of the hole. I've seen yellow jackets stand on the edge and drink, and the smaller birds stand on the edge and drink. So for the other one, I'm going to go to a wildlife store and ask them what would be a good hummingbird bird feeder. They say the hummers like to fly through water to wash themselves off. They don't get in it like the jay does. So I want to provide something for them, and it needs to be shallower.
That's interesting you mentioned that, because I noticed on my own fountain in the backyard the other day, I stuck a hose in it to refill it. Mm-hmm. And I walked away to go do something else, because that's what you do in a garden. Mm-hmm. And I came back, and of course, it's overflowing the sides. Mm-hmm. But there were all these birds, including hummingbirds, beneath the fountain, which is maybe 3.5 feet tall. And they're whipping around just above ground level just to get through that falling water.
Getting a shower. Yeah. They like a shower. Yeah. Oh, see, there goes the finch.
Yep. No, that's a very nice little fountain you've got there. And
yes.
The slow drip is actually very soothing.
The fence around it is maybe a little bit of a eyesore, but I have cats, and there are other cats in the neighborhood, and I just don't want it to be... I don't want to invite the birds in and have the cats take them out.
Yeah, especially since there are too many perches around here for the cats to scope them out without being seen.
Right. A favorite is under this Pittosporum here.
Yeah. And you've got something here that you talked about on a recent podcast, too, in talking about your wilder garden, is the wilder pathway.
The gardener's pathway. Yep. This is one of those paths I talk about where I will prune things out of the way. Some of these branches of the abutilon get in the way, and I prune them out because I need this path. You have to be able to get through the garden, and this is the path. I used to have one going 90 degrees from it, but it has become overgrown.
Yeah, it's about a foot and a half wide, and it meanders through the garden up here.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I cut that abutilon back. That's the stump of it. It came up a little further from the path, which was perfect.
Yeah, unfortunately, I recognize stumps of abutilon now very easily since that tree from our neighbor's house fell in our yard a couple of winters ago. And like any good gardener, Debbie also has a big pile of mulch waiting to be moved.
Yeah.
All right, we're over here at the end of the driveway in front of the garage, and there are some plants that look sort of familiar and others that are wacky. One of my favorite wacky plants right here is this Verbena bonariensis that puts up these beautiful blooms on long shoots.
Yes, and it's another one that seeds itself around. You get to know what it looks like in the seedling stage and pull it out because you don't want it everywhere. But I thought it was such a positive accident that it came in front of this, it's called a Fat Albert blue spruce. So the gray blue of the blue spruce with the purple in front of it I thought was very pretty. And then there's the desert willow over here, a very drought-tolerant plant. Mine has never grown very fast, and I think it's because it's so close to the driveway. But I took a cutting and started one when my son lived here in Sacramento and gave it to him, and his grew huge, and he never watered it. And it blooms these beautiful orchid-like flowers. So when we first moved in, there was nothing here except on the fence is the neighbor's wisteria, and I didn't want the view of their yard. So I put in the Elaeagnus over here, which is the variegated green and yellow, a very drought-tolerant plant. This is a toyon in the white, blooming in white flower. That's a Raphiolepis in the back, which I think maybe needs to be trimmed a little bit. The grass is deer grass. And then this is Texas privet behind, which is another drought-tolerant. It's a deciduous plant, and it produces fruit that birds like. So that combination, they're fighting it out. The Elaeagnus has been more aggressive, assertive than I anticipated, and I go in periodically and whack on it. As I said, the Raphiolepis probably needs to be brought down, and the Bermuda grass is coming up in the deer grass. So in cooler weather, I will climb under there and pull it out.
And the privet, is this a nice privet or a thug?
Well, that's its common name. It's not yes, it's a nice privet. It is not in the same genus as the privet that we find to be New Mexico privet, desert olive, Texas privet, Foresteria neomexicana.
You're right. That's not a privet.
Right. It's native from north central California to Riverside, east to Colorado and Texas. Good bird plant for food and cover.
Looks like it would be either a large shrub or a small tree.
Right. And I'm only pruning it. There's another gardener's path behind. I'm only pruning it to keep it out of the path, and I just want to see what it's going to do.
It's not evergreen, though, is it?
No, it's deciduous.
Okay, because if your goal was a privacy screen, you'd want evergreens, but the Euonymus is evergreen.
And the toyon and the Raphiolepis and the Fat Albert blue spruce.
Yeah. And then you have something coming up over there, which looks like, I don't know what that is. It's, or you probably planted it there underneath the shade of this other plant that I don't know what it is.
This is called a California pepper tree, but it's not native to California, and it's not a pepper. It just smells kind of like a pepper.
Is it a Shinus molly?
Yes, and they are notorious for leaning.
Yeah.
So we've taken some branches out of it, and we should probably take a little more. But this is a ribes.
Oh, okay. A wild berry.
Ribes aureum. And it does need some shade. The only place I really saw it happy was on the side of Puda Creek on the UC Davis campus. And so I'm unsure. It's only been here about 3 years. Unsure how it's going to do. But so far, so good. So we'll let it go. I pruned. The pepper tree will come down to the ground. So I pruned some out yesterday, so the gardener's path is open.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And the wisteria climbs the pepper tree, so I have to tame that. I took a bunch out of that yesterday. It's amazing what can happen overnight.
You get any blowback on that?
Oh, no. Catherine, my neighbor, is very good. Not a problem.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And this area, I don't see any drip lines here.
They're here.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see them over there. I try to keep them covered for their life. Of course, then you don't know where they are, but I try not to keep them on the surface. And
you have a greenhouse. We should always mention when people have greenhouses, because every good gardener should have a greenhouse.
Right, and yesterday I'm having trouble getting my beans to germinate. I think the drainage in my raised bed is not as good as they would like, so I put some in pots. I have a rosemary right here. Finished blooming for now. It'll bloom again, and it's moving where it wants to go. But I have it for culinary purposes. I like to have my herbs. I have sage in a pot, thyme in a pot, thyme in the ground, rosemary, oregano, marjoram. So when I want herbs, I can get them myself. And my sister-in-law wants some. So I took cuttings of that and that's all sitting in the greenhouse, but covered in some shade cloth.
So this is all, too, happening under the shade of, to me, it looks like it's alcova.
It is. It's the cultivar wireless. So I am surrounded on 3 sides by power lines. I have met the SMUD vegetation. SMUD is our utility, electric utility, and they have a vegetation management group, and they come and check your property, not all that often, but to chart what needs to be cut down out of the power line. So anything over about 25 feet has to be cut down. And they then send out a crew that just whacks away at the top until the plant is 3 feet below the power line.
And then it grows back.
Right. So I tried not to put things in the way that would get into those. And it's the high tension lines. It's the one at the top. The low ones are the internet providers and phone service and that kind of thing. And they're not a problem. Yeah. So this is the wireless cultivar. And its job in the garden is to shade the patio. And it's finally, in the last 2 years, gotten to the point big enough that it is doing that.
You mentioned on a previous episode about your food garden, and guarding it are birds who like to perch on poles. I see some poles over here next to your raised beds. Mm-hmm. Is that where the birds perch to look for tomato worms?
They perch on the cages themselves. They perch on the power lines above, and anything they can find, they do perch. Yeah,
and go to work. Now, what is this? Is that an apricot tree?
That's an apricot. It's the earliest apricot I'm aware of. So I hope you take some home with you. We are inundated.
What kind of apricot?
I don't know. Came with the house.
Can you make daiquiris with it?
Oh, I'm sure you can.
Okay.
I didn't get this part pruned out yesterday. Here's my white sage in bloom.
Yeah.
And then manzanita, the really common one.
Dr. Hurd.
No, not Dr. Hurd.
All right. Arctostaphylos uva ursi.
No, that's a ground cover. Howard McMinn.
Oh, it's Howie.
It's Howie, yes.
Right.
And a whole bunch of California poppies, red bud. And I stood here and watched. See the holes in the leaves? Mm-hmm. The leafcutter bees use the leaf of this plant to line their nests, and then they lay their eggs in the lining. And I happened to stand here one day, and there was a leafcutter bee doing its thing. And I was so shocked, I just stood there, and I should take a picture. Well, of course, by that time,
they're done.
They're done. Yeah, see, they're all falling to the ground. We need to clear the fruit.
You have a paper bag?
I have a lot of bags in the house.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I got pegs, too.
Yeah.
All right. So among your wacky plant collections, you have this asparagus here. Tell us about this.
Well, that was in a pot when I moved here. And, the first places you plant are where you have water. So the first drip line we put in was in this area. And, of course, I don't think the Zelkova was in by then. And so I planted it, and it's done well. It's in the gardener's path, which it's one of the places I haven't subdued the plant to keep the gardener's path open, because you can brush past it. It doesn't hurt you. It would look much better somewhere else, but I don't have the heart to dig it up.
And something we have done a little chat on a couple of years ago or so are your cattle watering troughs filled with bamboo. Have they escaped yet?
No, there's a hole in the irrigation in the middle one I got to fix, but nope, they're doing just fine.
Giving you the privacy screen.
Right, to the windows in the house beyond. A little bit messy. They come up when they send up a new culm, which is a stem. It's surrounded by, the leaf parts are surrounded by a sheath, and that falls off, and you get these little bits. You can see them here in the crack in the concrete. Other than that, they're wonderful. They take a little pruning as the culms die, take out the pruning. That's where I get my stakes.
Oh, let's talk about your green cone.
There's my green.
There's your green. There's your green cone composter in the middle of the garden.
That's been here for. I've lived here 12 years, and it's never been emptied.
I see why you say you put a rock on the lid so it doesn't blow off.
Yes, my husband always takes it off, but it did blow off when we had those winds in spring. We couldn't find it for a couple of weeks. Finally found it down there by the Brugmansia. So
the kitchen scraps that you put in the green cone here are feeding your herb garden here somewhat.
Right.
Your borage.
Right, my borage, and these are straw flowers I just put in for this year. I have the borage here because it's near the vegetable garden, and it is attractive to pollinators. And then here's my vegetable garden. This bed's not doing well. I think I have to dig it out, which is going to be a huge job, and add amendment. I don't think it has enough organic matter in it. I don't think the drainage is good. But a couple of tomatoes are doing fine. The Juliet is doing very well, and then beyond the one that's covered in shade is a bush early girl, and the one covered in shade is the bush early girl that's been struggling like crazy. And then here's parsley. Like I said, I like to grow my herbs One is going to seed. Parsley's are biennial. The second year they flower and seed. And there's a marigold came up from seed from last year.
And one lone bean plant.
Well, there's 3.
Oh.
And that's, like I said, I've been having trouble. And I think it's drainage problem. So, yeah, I have 3. And where the white tags are, I put in fresh seed that I bought. And it's purple bean, so I'd know which is which. I probably need to give it a little more time, 5 more days or so, to see if they're going to germinate.
All right. I notice you have a smart pot here.
I do.
Tell us about what you're growing here in the smart pot. It looks to be squash-like.
These are cucumbers in the cage, so I want them to climb. There are 3 here. That's going to be too many. So I'm going to take at least 1 out, maybe 2. But you see my little bamboo trees?
Oh.
That's to prevent the wildlife from... My cat will just get in the bed and lay down. So keep her from doing that. That's the basil right here, these 4 little seedlings. And that's a zucchini which has not germinated. I put a new seed in a couple of days ago.
So these dead stalks are just your bamboo cuttings?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You're brave.
Why is that?
Well, they might root.
No, they're dead.
Okay.
I took the dead ones. These are one of the jobs of the dead culms. And just cut them and stuck them just to keep the wildlife out of the garden. And you see there's drip spray irrigation.
Okay, it's spray irrigation you have on half-inch tubing going around this circular smart pot. And
across the middle.
And across the middle, and it's spraying. Probably the one in the middle is 360, and the others are 180s.
Actually, some of them are 90s.
90s, yeah.
Because the 180s tended to overshoot the side. You can regulate them, but again, the regulation is limited.
Yeah.
I have a couple of 180s and a couple of 90s to try to prevent overflow. And this is Grindelia, this yellow plant here. It's native, sticky Grindelia it's called because it produces some kind of sticky stuff in the center that insects like.
Sticky Grindelia. It sounds like a pickpocket in Paris.
Yes, true. Yes. And this is a Chilean mesquite planted to shade the house because
it's the west side.
The bedroom gets really hot. Training it to go tall and wide. I don't know if you can see it. It sort of has an angle in the trunk. Mm-hmm. Well, the bottom below the curve is the actual stem. What the plant did, they grow very fast if they get any water. I don't give them a lot of water, but they got water. And it fell over. And the cats loved it. For the summer, they just hid under there. But then I cut off the part that fell over so a branch would grow up. So that's...
I'd say you're successful.
Yeah, it's doing all right.
Yeah, it's 20 feet tall.
And the beauty of the Chilean mesquite is that it does not have armature. It is unarmed.
Yeah, for your botanical fans out there, usually if the botanical name has the word inermis in it, it means it doesn't have thorns.
Right.
Like a Gleditsia triancanthos inermis.
Right.
And that's your Latin for the day. Thanks for coming to class.
This blue oak was a volunteer.
It's a blue oak.
Yeah.
Wow.
Under the power lines. That's a problem with power lines.
Yeah.
Birds and squirrels and things sit up there and poop out the seed.
A blue oak is such a majestic tree.
Yeah, so far we've been lucky. It went over the house too, and I didn't like that for fire reasons. Yeah. So I had it pruned back. We'll see. And then this callistemon, I'm not sure if it's ours or our neighbor's. It's just about done. It bloomed in April. It was beautiful.
And you have not one, but 2 grapefruit trees.
I need to do some cleanup. All the fruit.
Or start drinking gin.
Yeah, something. There's not a lot you can do with grapefruit other than eat it. My parents were huge grapefruit eaters. Every day they'd have half a grapefruit. And I just never got into it. And this is another navel orange. It's done for the season. This is a peach.
Yes, it is.
That was cut down.
It came back.
It came back, and I'm not sure. It's got fruit on it, but I'm not sure if it was the frost peach.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's frost that came back or the rootstock.
Yeah, rootstock, it could be a Babcock, which would be one of the few edible rootstock peaches around.
We can hope. I thought I'd wait. There's not a lot of fruit on it. And I haven't pruned it, shaped it well or anything. I was going to take it out. I thought brambles might do well back here.
Okay.
And then all of these tower of jewels because I drug one of the dead ones back here and laid it down. I have to pull some out along the path. It gets in the path, and they're very itchy.
Now, Debbie, here in your front yard, I know you guys like to party, but really, leaving a wine bottle stuck upside down in your garden?
Oops, busted. No, that's a watering system. You can see at the base, there's some terracotta potted stuff sticking out of the ground. That's an Oya of sorts. It's a funnel-shaped, fairly narrow, and it holds a bottle. And this is a new plant to the garden in spring. I don't like to plant into the garden after March because you need to water that plant very frequently. And if I forget or we travel, I don't get to that. So I got these little Oya containers, and you fill a bottle with water. In this case, it's a wine bottle. Turn it upside down. The water pours into the Oya, and it seeps out into the ground as needed. And that has helped establish some plants that I bought later in the season than I would have liked.
Now, the Oya, which is, by the way, is spelled O-L-L-A, is a terracotta pot that's buried in the ground. How big is that pot underground?
This one is very small. I have bigger Oyas down the driveway. They're not in use right now. They're just being ornamental. Maybe holds 2/3 of a cup of water.
So you fill up the wine bottle maybe once a week or so?
This one has been less often than that. It's down to about...
It's like down to about a third?
Half,
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know why. I don't know. I have one on the Atroplex we looked at over there, and that one I have to fill. I looked at it yesterday thinking it was empty, but it wasn't. So that one's about every 10 days. This one's less often than that.
And the moisture leaving that pot is only what seeps through the walls. There's not holes in that pot.
Correct. Yes.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, it's working well. I'm happy because nurseries carry really cool things in spring, but it's difficult in our climate to get them established because we get hot so quickly, and we get so hot and dry so quickly that establishing a plant in this is much better for us to do in the fall. It's much better in most climates to do later in the season, but this allows that to happen. And they're reusable, and it uses a bottle we would have anyway, so it works.
And we should point out something you frequently mention on the show, and it makes perfect sense that when you put in a new plant, you need to keep the root system for that new plant watered close to the plant, because it's going to take 6 weeks for those roots to grow into the surrounding soil.
Right. And this bed is irrigated by a grid of drip lines about every foot. So the field soil is getting wet, but the media, and you can see the top of it at the base of that lavender, the media that the plant came in isn't necessarily right at a drip line. So this Oya solves that problem of watering the media right around the roots of the plant. And it's going into bloom. It wasn't in bloom when I bought it. This was a lavender plant. You see, it looks like 4 now, or 3. It was a lavender plant that grew up, fell over, layered themselves, rooted into the soil. Other parts died back. And so I ended up with the plant in the far distance, the plant near the calendula, the plant near the sidewalk. And I went out and bought one more to sort of make it a bigger patch. And then I have lots of plants in containers.
Yes. Oh, these are the famous Debbie Flower container plants that I haven't gotten around to planting yet.
Well, those are outside the kitchen. These are going to live in pots for their life. And almost all of them are gifts. I don't think I purchased a single one.
In some climates, they would be house plants like this Schefflera here.
Right. And the ficus, the rubber tree, and it... I think I brought that, we propagated it in school, and I had it in the bathroom, and it grew tall and fell over and lost a lot of leaves because there wasn't a lot of light in there. So I said, all right, I'll just put it on the porch. And here it is. It's coming back, looking good.
One person might say, that's quite the mishmash of plants you have. To gardeners, they go, wow, what a great selection of plants you've done here, and landscaping it so it all flows together.
Well, that would be a big compliment. It's a continuous process of seeing things and editing them, thinning them out, taking things out, replacing them. Keeps me busy.
And life is too short to put up with a problem plant.
Yes, I think of that and think of you often in that regard, yes.
But this is quite the view. Sitting here on your front porch, especially this time of year, with the Palo Verde in bloom, and just the understory of all the plants and the flowers on the sage peeking up over the wall.
And the Eriogonum grandrubescens, that's flowering red right now with the lavenders in front of it, and then the yellow calendulas. I like that combination too. And the pink pelargonium behind.
See, you're a landscaper. Great tour of Debbie Flowers' garden and its extensive garden with a wide variety of plants. Thanks for the tour.
You're welcome, Fred.